Hi, welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. So, you could already hear that backing track going, right? But here's what I want you to imagine today. It's not a backing track, it's a jam session, right? And we've been invited, okay? And maybe some people we don't really know that well or something, but, and we're late, apparently. Nobody's really surprised. So we park our car, we get our little rig or whatever, and we're walking around back down to the basement door. You can already hear the bass of the drums going. So, wow, these folks aren't waiting around for me to get here to start making music, So, kind of creep in the door there, look around for an outlet, get set up, and they're not stopping. They're not like, oh, the guitarist is here, so now we can do something. Nope. It's already happening, right? So, get over there and get set up. And then, let me turn this up for myself a little bit. And then, so what are we going to do? The chords aren't written down. Nobody's telling us what they are. We don't, what's the deal? Well, take a little listen here. And, we can maybe see the bass player's hands also, right? And we got an E to an A with a little some walking stuff. Right? Even if we don't, even if we can't emulate those walking notes just right, we don't really need to. We know that there's, an A, an E and an A, and then some stuff in between. Now, so far, I've just used kind of an octave comping. That rhythm at first, get in the groove. That's not bad. A flat seventh, dominant seventh on that E. Right back to that chord for the A, or either one. Okay, now it says we're respecting the groove and what's going on here, right? We don't come in and just, I can play, E minor pentatonic and then play every, blues lick in E that we've ever known or whatever. We don't do that, right? In this situation, okay? So, this kind of cooperative jamming is it's experimental, right? It's not just formulaic, right? Now, I'll bet that a few folks out there are already kind of going to the next place that we naturally do, right? As guitarists, right? It's like, okay, wait a second. When he changed that E to it's EA. When you change that E to a flat 7 chord like that kind of makes it the 5 chord. So it's like it's A major and that's the 5 chord, whatever. Okay, but that's good thinking. But you still have more options, right? One of the real kind of big differences rather, would be what if I changed the basic quality, meaning major or minor, of that E chord right away? changes the whole business of it, the whole feeling of it, the song, the jam has been altered. It's a different thing, and it sounds cool, right? So we're going to stick with the major thing because we're still invested. Remember, we're in this scenario, and we're just to the part where we've got like we've made some decisions about a couple of chords, right? And then it's like, well, I want to, that bass line's kind of cool. That's the thing that's really going on. That's the groove, right? And that just kind of simple drum beat. So I don't want to, I want to do things that support that, right? And sort of really elevate that level of it, not just play a bunch of stuff on top of it, so to speak, right? So how can we do that? Well, let's listen, of course, again. So there's some you can almost start to compose it in your head, right? It's not like, oh, I'm just looking for what scale I should play, and then I'm just going to start scaling, right? In this case, you really want to listen to that groove. Pick a few notes. Kind of really taking ideas from the bass line, and even if they're up in the other octave. Put those chords back in. That time I really auditioned, the flat 7 sound of that A. Okay, so now I think we've got this kind of developed up to kind of where we normally sort of start with a Tao of Twang video, right? Where I've already kind of, in preparation for the lesson, sort of done the things that we just talked about, right? I've, even though I'm using virtual instruments, I've selected a drum beat. I've made a bass line that kind of grooves with the kick and the snare or whatever. Then I come in and this is how it goes. I don't just sit down and say I'm going to do a 2-5-1-6 because that's what everybody on YouTube's doing this month, and we've got to get in on the action. In fact, I honestly try to avoid replicating things that all of these other really good players have already done. You don't need me to do it the same way that they're doing it, right? So it's not so much like here's the formula. It's like here's on this channel. It's a lot of it's about the experiment. The experience is an experiment, right? But once we get up to where we are now in this process, then we start to implement all that knowledge that we have. Okay, E7. I'm going to do some arpeggios. Great, right? And that's where that, you've got your go-to stuff there, right? But you also want to, the fun about this and the real musicianship level of the stuff that we're talking about here today. And you don't have to, it's not an advanced thing. It's something that needs to happen at every level, right? Um, is, we're always returning to that groove. We're always thinking about that bass line and how that drum beat feels, right? Keep it simple. But then little by little branch out and use these things that you're already versed in. And also, experiment with some other stuff. So, um, you know, because I'm treating both of these as dominant seventh chords, they're sort of independent. I can do a kind of a minor pentatonic blues lick, right? But also some arpeggio. And then for the A7, I can treat it as its own mixolydian. Okay. Got a little bit lost there because I was trying to kind of overthink it for a second, right? And I was really trying to demonstrate that I'm using strictly like a mixolydian for the E, mixolydian um, for the A, and that works great. What you probably want to end up with is more of a blend of sort of like the E minor pentatonic kind of running through the whole thing because that does kind of capture that bass line. Right, that is the core. But there's certain notes in there that you really want featured, that major third of the A. All right, let's put the track on, and now we can really get, if your ear here and there ends up treating the A sort of like the one. I'll give you a little example of this. Don't get hung up on this, but this is another example of like, let your ear be open. All right. Now, we're the only guitarist, and we don't have a keyboard. We're the only ones really, you know, comping the chords in this group right now, and we can use that to our advantage. And so here's what to look for and listen for in this example. Over the E7, I'm still going to use just the mixolydian, that relationship, minor pentatonic and the mixolydian structure. Over that A bass note, sometimes I'll use the A major scale that has that natural 7, that G sharp, that's shared with the E, by the way. But instead of the flat 7 mixolydian version of for the A that we've been doing up until now, your ear will catch it. Then I went right back to the mixolydian sound for the A. So let me turn this off real quick. Now, hopefully that made sense. Not just the theory part of it, but just that sometimes you want to hear that, when I went, just pretty. It's just not now. You would if somebody else was over there comping, uh, uh, a flat seven version of the chord the whole time, you might have to be a little more careful. But when you've just got that bass, and that's, we've already identified, or talked about several aspects of how that bass line is real open. It lends itself to a whole bunch of different melodic structures. Don't be afraid to audition those and experiment with those and feature different ones in your improvisation, right? That's cool. Don't always want to be on the same, kind of one dimensional diatonic path. We spend time doing pieces like that on this channel because that is an important part of your ear development and just how the music system works. But the fun part is when you start going out, right, from those sort of rules and then back to the thing that you're really grounded in. In this case, that, the sound of both of those being dominant. And, you'll see like the other people you're playing with, will start to, adjust notes here and there. And that's when it really gets fun and interesting and musical. So hopefully this helped, you know, as being sort of it's kind of like this is sort of like a meta, lesson, right? We're looking at ourselves playing, right? And not just like, lick number one, lick number two, but looking at how we address the situation we're in with our skills. All right. Let me know how this goes for you. Appreciate all of you, especially the newcomers here of late. Just can't thank you enough. I just hope you're getting plenty of good action on here. And, let me know what you think and what you're getting out of it, and what you'd like to see on this side and on the YouTube side. Take care. I'll talk to you next week.